smart cars run along the roads, correcting our driving when we start to swerve. Planes fly high above our heads with the automatic pilot on. And the financial markets are no different, just as dependent on machines. This is nothing new, of course. It's been happening for years, but lately it's become more and more common. The human mind at this point seems almost secondary. When it comes to markets, there's no room for improvisation, for anything that strays from rigid mechanical calculations, from the forecasts of technological instruments. We all know how the dynamics of finance affect our everyday lives, our societies, and the entire world. There's no need to repeat it again. And we're aware of how our present influences our future. It really seems that the direction of human things is more and more often in the hands of autonomous technology. More advanced, more intelligent than humanity. We've come to the point where it almost seems that humankind will just have to step aside and concede defeat to a superior opponent. Is this perhaps what awaits us in the future? For the time being, all we know for sure is what has happened already. All we can do is examine the last time that a relationship of power was overturned in such a shocking manner. The last time that, on the markets, a man managed to beat the machines. It was a Thursday in the spring of 2010. An apparently normal day. It was a few minutes past 2:30 p.m. on Wall Street in New York City. Meanwhile, in Hounslow near London, it was approaching 8 in the evening. It just took a few minutes. A 32-year-old British Indian, a self-taught trader, in his bedroom, was about to throw a spanner into the works of the financial systems. I am Guido Brera, and you're listening to Black Box, The Hidden Side of Finance, a podcast by Cora Media, sponsored by Docebo. South of San Francisco Bay in California. On May 6, 2010, Navinder Sarao plunged Wall Street into chaos, all from a computer in his bedroom, in his parents' home, where he still lived, despite his 32 years of age. A typical English suburban house set in the anonymity of Hounslow, near London. Nav Sarao doesn't have a driver's license. He even comes across as a bit of a goof. If he's a genius, he could fool anyone. But the truth is that he's more likely just a man, capable of finding an original plan that goes against the usual grain that he sees every day from his bedroom window. Sarao attacks the very heart of global finance, with just a computer and a LAN connection. That's all he needs. That and a handful of minutes. It's 2:42 p.m. in New York when the stock orders start to fall. Down, 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 until the screens just go black, like a sudden eclipse. Our world is so regulated and controlled that this sudden unpredictability generates panic. For 5 seconds, all exchanges cease and the market just stops in its steps. The stop logic function has been activated, which is a security measure put in place to avoid extreme losses, a bit like a circuit breaker going off when there's excessive electrical current. 5 seconds later, the screens in Wall Street are back on. Sales and purchasing orders start up again. The lifeblood of finance slowly starts flowing through its veins again, and everything goes back to normal. It was a flash crash. A sudden market crash that caused the Dow Jones to freefall by 700 points. It was too much and too fast to stop in time. This sudden blackout impeded anyone from intervening, and most importantly, it made us doubt the security measures that were already in place. Of course, everything was soon back online, but something enormous happened while the lights were out. Some people lost lots of money and others made enormous amounts as well. Navinder Sarao will find himself arrested 5 years later in that same home on the outskirts of London where he defeated the machines and overthrew the financial system. He'll be accused of manipulating markets for personal gain. On that spring day of 2010, Sarao had placed sales orders, and then canceled them just before they went through by means of a modified software. This generated artificial demand and then crashed those financial titles. In short, he lit the spark that caused the flash crash, speculating fraudulently and earning 850,000 euros in those few minutes. Sarao risks almost 400 years in jail. 4 centuries, 4 lifetimes one after another. His defense insists that he remained on the thin line between legal and illegal. After all, algorithmic trading isn't necessarily a criminal offense. He'll be extradited to the USA in 2016, where he'll incur an enormous fine, but he won't have to go to jail. The news calls him the Hound of Hounslow, almost a parody of the Wolf of Wall Street. Machines make mistakes, they always have. Calculations, protocols, and technology have always been far from perfect and prone to error, and ironically, that's exactly when humans come in. The history of the last few decades has been a series of machine-made mistakes which people have either taken advantage of or solved before they went out of control. For example, during the Cold War in 1983, when Soviet Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov ignored the alarm that appeared on his screen while monitoring US nuclear attacks, he realized that the satellite system had confused a weather event as a nuclear warhead. He understood that the machines had made a mistake, and thanks to his instinct, he saved the world. There are many similar examples in fiction, such as in the novels of Philip Dick or in movies like War Games. That of Navinder Sarao is a fascinating case because he was just an everyman without advanced technology at his fingertips. All he did was find a bug in an enormously complex system and use it to bring the entire machine to a halt. After all, the giants of finance use these machines every day to trade and even coax the markets. All Sarao had to do was pause the lifeline between the heart and brain of the financial circulatory system for just a few minutes. And for this, he was severely punished for attacking the sphere that appeared unassailable. His story warns us about the future. It forces us to ponder whether we should really be entrusting our finances to machines. If we should put limits, and how many? A bit like how we need to ask ourselves whether smart cars are such a good idea after all. Sure, there are real people behind the machines, but we can't ignore the fact that technology is slowly narrowing the margin within which these people are allowed to intervene. It seems preferable to repeat a model, to standardize it, rather than accept individuality in any specific case. We can see for a fact that each day machines are more and more in control, in ever more invasive and subtle ways. And of course, machines make mistakes, they always have. But today they're smarter than yesterday, and tomorrow they'll be smarter than today. Just last week, Elon Musk, the genius entrepreneur of Silicon Valley, unveiled robots capable of doing anything. Speaking like humans, moving like humans, cooking like humans, loading and unloading the trunk of a car. At this point, we're at the moment in which robots are becoming more similar to us, as well as the moment in which we don't know that we can control them for much longer. According to the Bible, when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. Is this the last time that we'll see a perfect system of algorithms and models brought to its knees with just a computer, a LAN connection, and a few minutes to spare? Will we ever see another Nav Sarao? Will humankind ever defeat the machines again? Black Box is a Cora News podcast, produced by Cora Media and sponsored by Docebo. Written by Guido Brera with I Diavoli. Editorial supervision by Francesca Milano. Intro and sound design by Luca Micheli. Editing and post-production by Luca Micheli and Emanuele Moscatelli. Production organization by Alex Peverengo.